Cool.
Days officially started.
Days officially started? Alright. Hello, and welcome to this workshop on Wwise, and middleware in general. Before I actually get into like this PowerPoint slide, just so we're not wasting time, I'm going to actually open the Wwise launcher as the first thing. So, if you see the Wwise launcher, it should open up and you have something like this. It might prompt you to log in, but honestly, you don't have to. So this is like the home page, like blogs and stuff. And you have all these different tabs at the top. So you have projects, which is where all your Wwise projects will be. If you don't have any, then you have no projects found here. Wwise, which is the tab where you can manage what versions of Wwise you have installed. Plugins, if you have any plugins for Wwise installed, you can manage them here. And then you can handle Unity integration and Unreal Engine integration under the respective tabs. Then you also have like samples, like sample projects, if you want to look at those. But here are all the Unity projects from past workshops. Wow, amazing. So, but I don't want to mess with any of these, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Unity. And just make a new project. I'm going to call it Wwise Workshop. There we go. And honestly, if you have any version of Unity that's 2018.1 or later, this version of Wwise should work for you. So, yeah. Also, templates shouldn't really be that important here. Also, what folder is this? I should not put this in this folder. Oh my goodness. This is a problem. I'm gonna put it in here, in the audio tools folder. Let's make it a workshop folder. Impromptu. Okay. Yes. Go in there, be free. Alright, we're just gonna create our project here. So we wait for Unity to open. You can do it, Master Chief.
Listen, his phones are old.
He's doing his best.
He's doing his best.
Is everyone good so far? We haven't really encountered anything super crazy, but you're doing good? Cool. This is taking longer than I thought it would. I believe in you. Go, Master Chief, go. This is exactly why I wanted to do this first. Does it usually take this long?
I can't be heard on stream.
Fear the awkward silence. If you do like a really crappy a cappella cover of a song in the middle of a video. What? Yeah, like Jacksepticeye got copyrighted. Got like a copyright claim for that. Yeah. You know, it looks like it's on its way. We're doing it. Not on its way out. Okay, the TV is on its way out. I can barely even read what's on screen anymore. But it's a dying TV.
It's misery.
Just take a sledgehammer. Fast forward 10 years. This isn't even the part I thought was gonna be the long part. Also, door.
Okay.
Oh, whoa. Okay, this is taking, wait.
Oh,
Wait.
Valley.
Seatbelt.
What Valley?
Okay, I think we're good.
So how did you learn about Wwise?
how did I learn about Wwise? I think I probably first heard it from a friend, I think. I have a friend who does composition and sound design, and he uses Wwise, and I think he was the first one I heard about it from. On his website, he also has like a little cheat sheet for it, which was convenient for me during Global Game Jam when I used it for the first time. It's not the most detailed thing in the world, but it helped a lot anyway. Screw you. So here is our Unity project. It's just an empty Unity project. There's nothing special about it. But from here, what we want to do is, well, you want to go to Unity? Well, we're already here, so we should refresh. Refresh the page. And we now see our new project here, right? Our Wwise Workshop project. So before you hit that integrate button, Unity will yell at you if you have the project open. So what you want to do is actually close your Unity project, integrate Wwise, and then reopen it. So I'm going to close Unity momentarily and hit that integrate button. And then all of this stuff comes up. So you have your deployment platforms, which is important for generating sound banks, which we will talk about a bit later in the workshop. But basically that you want to keep it the way it is. If you have a Wwise project that you've already been working on, you can choose to search for it. So you can like browse here. If you want to just stick with the new Wwise project, you keep this path blank, and it'll automatically create a Wwise project for you wherever the Unity project is. And then there's where your Unity installation is, and then how you would like to integrate. So I just keep this top bubble here filled in, and once you've looked at all that and made sure it's what you want, you hit that integrate button. And also there's the terms, I think. Yeah, license terms. You hit that accept button. And then this takes a little bit. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go back to here and actually go over this presentation. So this is the Introduction to Wwise workshop, and before we actually get into how to actually use Wwise, I want to talk a little bit about audio middleware in general. So it's software that allows you to implement your sounds through a different program instead of, through your game engine directly. So instead of taking all your audio assets and throwing them directly into Unity and managing them there, you put your audio assets into a project for whatever middleware you're using. Handle how implementation details like fade-ins and fade-outs and looping and stuff like that in the middleware, and then you make function calls to whichever game engine you are working with, depending on where you actually need the sound to be playing. And the biggest examples of middleware are Fmod and Wwise. They are the two names that you'll see around the most. Some games that use Wwise examples of games that use Wwise are Risk of Rain 2, Gris, Limbo. I had another one on the top of my head and I totally forgot, but a bunch of different games. Fmod's used by Celeste, I think Darkest Dungeon, StarCraft 2. League of Legends used to use Fmod and they switched to Wwise. So fun fact. But yeah, it's pretty common in the games industry. On a basic level, if you want to compare Fmod and Wwise, they do pretty much the same thing. It's just that the way that you implement audio using both of them is a bit different. However, Wwise does allow for greater variability, and this also makes it super intimidating to look at when you open it for the first time. Today we're going over a super bare bones way to implement your audio through Wwise. So we won't be going through a lot of things. I wish I had the time to go through more things, but there's a lot to go over there. Also, beware of these things if you use Wwise. So you can only import MIDI, WAV, and .amb files. I don't even know what .amb files are. Does anybody here know? Because I've never seen that format until like whatever. Anyway, because of this, well, if you're used to exporting your sound effects as WAV files and your music as compressed files such as MP3s or OGGs, I'm sorry, but this is probably going to bloat your project because you're probably going to be importing everything into Wwise as a WAV file. So if you don't want that, you might want to reconsider. And additionally, you can't make a web build for your game if you're using Wwise. But if you do still want to use middleware, and these things are a big turnoff for you, you might want to consider using Fmod instead. But just something to consider. They're both important to learn though. Wwise is more of the learning part because Fmod behaves more like a DAW, if you're familiar with how DAWs work. So yeah, any questions there? Cool.
What do they stand for?
Huh?
What does it stand for?
What does what stand for?
Wise.
I don't know if it stands. I don't think it stands for anything. You can look it up.
It stands for Quality Music Pipeline. I mean, Audio Pipeline.
I don't know where you got the Q from, but okay. Thanks, Fred.
Ow, I'm stuck.
Alright. Anything else? Alright, so you look at the benefits of using middleware. These are just a few things I thought of off the top of my head. Audio designers can work out implementation details without having to bother, their programmers or like having to constantly touch scripts to get what they want. You can basically handle everything that you want to handle in your middleware, and then at the end of it be like, hey, I just need to throw these function calls into these places. Can I touch these files, please? You don't have to worry about that. I mean, like, you don't have to worry as much about touching stuff. And there's some examples of things examples of things that middleware helps with, as I said before, fading in and out audio, looping stuff, determining when or how a sound is played depending on what is occurring at in the game at a given point of time. Real-time parameter control, also known as RTPC, and then some other stuff. Then also, you have a ton of flexibility, in Unity. Unity's audio implementation is extremely limited compared to, like what middleware can offer you, which is really cool. And also, you can be as picky as you want. So say you're an audio designer and you're not like super into coding or anything. You can handle a lot of your stuff just like going like through an interface, and handling all the things that you'd like to do in your game that way, which is super convenient. Any questions there? Yes, Oscar.
What do you have to do on the Unity side to implement Wwise?
You hit an integrate button. You call Wwise functions like you would usually if you wanted to say play sound here, basically. So that isn't really much different at all. You're just calling different functions. And there's also things like loading sound banks and stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit, but for the most part it's the same, I'd say. Anything else? Alrighty. So these are some warnings I'd like to give from my past experience. If you're using audio middleware on a team, please always follow these steps. If you don't follow these steps, you may or may not suffer. So please do these things. Number 1, update your git ignore before you push anything.
No.
If you don't know if you need to, look it up. If you're using Fmod, please do this or you'll suffer. I had the sad time of learning this when I was using Fmod during the game jam a couple weeks ago, when Fmod was causing a bunch of stupid merge conflicts. So yeah, be wary of that. I haven't had any problems with Wwise though. If you would like to ignore the cache files that it generates for every sound file you import, you can do that, but if you don't, it's not like it's going to break everything. Just letting you know that. Number 2, implement a test sound. So make sure that everyone on your team can hear a sound that's implemented through whatever middleware you're using. And if there is someone who can't hear any sound you've implemented, that's a problem. Especially if, citing experience, the one person on your team who has a Mac, so you can make a Mac build of the game, can't hear the sounds in their game, so if they build the game, there won't be any sound, and you have no idea how to fix it, and you're at the end of the dev cycle of your game. So please, implement a test sound. Make sure everyone can hear the sound before you do anything, so that you can prevent things from going wrong, and you can amend that issue as soon as possible. And 3, brace yourself for having to fix everything in audio implementation that goes wrong, especially for other team members, because it's usually for them, because there's some issue where you have the project and everything, you have everything that you need to hear the sounds properly and stuff like that. But sometimes when you push, things might break or something like that, and you need to help your team members when that happens and make sure that everything is working again. Yes, Johan.
Does the rest of your team need Wwise?
No.
Okay.
They do not need to install Wwise. If you're using Fmod, they do not need to install Fmod. There's one issue, though, that I came across during the game jam, that there's a solution that you should not do. It was one teammate couldn't hear the sounds. I forgot what the exception I got exactly was, but I saw on the forums that one person had a workaround that was yeah, we're just going to take this Fmod project, and we're just gonna have people trade it back and forth so they can generate the sound banks on their side so they can hear the sounds. And I'm no, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. There are workarounds. But yeah. These are all to prevent horrible things from happening. So please do these things. Please do these things. Do we have any questions? Alrighty. So it's time for a tutorial. Oh boy. These are kind of mainly for me because there's just so much stuff I could go over and it's crazy. I don't want to get sidetracked. So what we're covering today: how to integrate Wwise into a Unity project, creating events and generating sound banks, excuse me, navigating a few features, just taking a tour and looking at what you can do in Wwise a bit, and then playing sounds in Unity. So let's get rid of you, and let's go back to our Wwise launcher. And as you can see, we have successfully integrated Wwise into our project. Is there anyone else, or is anyone else still integrating or has trouble with integration?
I'm still integrating.
Still integrating? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We'll give you a little bit. Cool. But yeah. And then you have your buttons. If you go here, you can modify Wwise project. I looked at this before, but I forgot what it was. I think you can modify your integration settings if you go to this. And then there's open in Unity, which will open the Unity project, and then open to Wwise, which will open the Wwise project. So we'll be opening both in a little bit here. You good?
I'm good.
Awesome. So first we're going to open Unity and see what this thing did to our project. Unity, please. Alrighty. So you can see a few things have changed. We now have we now have the Wise picker, which we can see our Wise project here, the Wise workshop _ Wise project. We also have two buttons here that are refresh project and generate sound banks. Basically, the refresh project button is if you add something to your Wise project, you can refresh the project in the picker. And generate sound banks is cool because you don't have to go to your Wise project every time you want to generate sound banks, which we will talk about a little bit. I keep throwing that word around, but we'll get to it in a little bit, I promise. You'll also see that on your main camera, instead of having a Unity audio listener, you now have this AK audio listener and this AK game object script here. You don't have to touch that, but that's just Wise doing its thing. This Wise listener stuff. In every scene you create, you will have a Wise global object that has the AK initializer script attached to it, which will initialize Wise for all your scenes, basically. And then also on the console, you'll get these exceptions that are like, sound banks not found. Did you generate them? Wow, what are these sound banks and why are they so important? Also, in your assets folder, you will see a streaming assets folder and a Wise folder that has a bunch of stuff that you should not touch. In your streaming assets folder, if you dig in here, you will see that your sound banks are in there if you generate them. Also, this was kind of an interesting thing that I ran into during Global Game Jam, but if you throw any sounds in that folder, Unity's like, what? There are sounds in that folder? I didn't know there were sounds in that folder, and you can't drag them into anything Unity-wise in terms of sound. You have to make a new folder. So be aware of that. I think that's about it for this portion. Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay. So now we are going to go back to our Wise launcher and click Open in Wise. And Wise should boot up. Alright, accept license agreement. Loading. Cool. And all this crazy madness is happening. So we have a little thing here we can use to play sounds that we load up. There's a bus. It'll show you volume and stuff like that. It's kind of a given. We have different hierarchies here for different types of sounds we might import or implement into our game. We have the master mixer hierarchy, which can make a bunch of buses for like different groups of sounds if you'd like to. We have the actor mixer hierarchy, which we're going to be working in the most. That's where you import all your individual sounds. And then we have our interactive music hierarchy, which is where you do cool things like create dynamic music and stuff like that. I haven't really messed with the master mixer or the interactive music myself, but today we're just focusing on this middle one here. So, oh my goodness, I can't see because of the glare. If we go to the next tab over, we have our events tab. We have our events hierarchy and then our dynamic dialogue. I believe dynamic dialogue is supposed to handle things like branching dialogue and things like that. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's for. And we're mainly going to be sticking with the top one, which is just events. If we go another tab over, we see sound banks. Gee, that's a familiar word. You just create your sound banks under here. Sound banks hold all the events that you're going to call for your game. if your game is small enough, you generally only need one sound bank, and I personally generally just call it main, where you just load all the sounds in your game at once. You might want to have different numbers of sound banks if you have specific sounds that need to be loaded in each level, and you don't want to load every sound in the game at the same time because you don't need everything right then, right? Then we have game syncs, which is the last one we're going to go over, that has switches, states, game parameters, and triggers. These are super useful for making audio change depending on things that are happening in the game. And they all have different purposes, but yeah. Any questions so far? Alrighty. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our audio tab right here. And under the actor mixer hierarchy and under the default, we're going to click on the default unit. We're going to write because you can just make a bunch of different waves with this. I'm going to choose the square. No, I'm going to choose the sine wave. We're not going to listen to a square wave. Oh god. Please go back. Please go back. Go back. Okay, never mind.
It's not cooperating with you. You chose the square wave. I guess you chose the sine wave.
It's okay, we can.
Cosine?
Yikes. It's okay, we can still see everything. Oh my god. Okay. This is happening. Here we go. Here we go. I'm just gonna turn this down because the sine wave's kind of high, I think. What happens if I? Oh yeah, if you press the play button, you can hear it. If you press play a bunch of times, it just loops over itself. Then you can stop it or pause it, etc. So, oh my goodness, where did everything go? Holy crap. I can't see anything. Oh, that's weird. Okay, where did you go? Okay. I have to move everything around now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
You didn't hear that.
You were cussing.
What are you doing? Right. No, that just does it like horizontally. Oh my goodness. We will. It's okay. We'll manage. This now looks like a mess, but we'll do something about it. Wait, can I like move this sideways? Hold on. Oh, this is property editor. I don't need you right now. But can I shove this like in it? No, it was there, I think. Why is unhinged? This is the project this is the super important thing I need. What are you doing? I'm sorry, I don't know how I ended up doing this. This is bad. Where can I put you? Right there? Right there. Okay. Crisis averted. So we have our new sound effect here. I'm just gonna rename it. So I'm just gonna rename it. I'm gonna call it test. Alright. So now we are going to want to hit this. Yeah, right click it. Oh god, no. Right click it, go to a new event. We're going to want to create a new play event for this test sound. And here we have our event editor here. Tell us what is going on. So it created an event called play test. And as you can see, we have some parameters we can control here. Voice volume, so how loud our sine wave is going to be. Our pitch, so we can pitch our sine wave down and up. And then we also have a low pass filter. I believe we should be able to add a high pass filter here too if we want a parameter we can change. But you can do some cool stuff here. So we have our play test event. And then I'm going to go to our sound banks tab. And under the default work unit here, I am going to right click, new child, and then sound bank. Now we have our new sound bank, and I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it main. Are we all good so far? Everything's happening. Cool. So if we double click the sound bank, we get this window that shows up. It says hierarchy inclusion. What we want to do here is we want to take all of our events that are relevant to this sound bank and put them in the sound bank. So I'm going to go back to this events tab here. Wait, hold on. Why are you way over here? Why? Wait, hold on. What are you doing here? Where is this? This is actually confusing me. Hold on. Is this just the sound property? This is the sound property editor. Contents. They're not, I guess I just did not make the thing. Hold on. Play. We should be here. Why is the event not the event? Okay. Oh, it's because, I'm dumb. There's a plus there. Oops. Okay, well, I'm actually going to keep this here for a second because we're going to come back to that. Actually need that for something. So, I'm sorry, the pixels here are so stupid. Anyway, soundbank editor. We take our play event and we drag it into the soundbank. And now we see that under hierarchy inclusion, we have the play test event. And this will play our sine wave basically. So what we want to do from here is generate our sound banks. Generally you want to do this for all platforms you have available. You can tell what platform you're messing with if you look in the top left-hand corner. You see Mac and then Windows. I believe this only determines like if you generate a sound bank for a singular platform, which platform you're generating for specifically, because everything else will stay the same here, like no matter which platform you're messing with in your tabs. So I'm going to hit Alt-7, which is the shortcut for generating all sound banks. And that should show up. And as long as there are no errors or anything, you're good. And then it'll show you what sound banks you've generated here, or there. Are we good so far? Are there any questions? Cool. You good? Alright. So now that we've finally generated a sound bank, this amazing thing that holds all of our sounds, and if it doesn't exist, then we can't play any sounds at all. So now that we have this thing, we're going to go back into our Unity project. We're going to go to Wwise Global, and then we're going to add a thing. We're going to type AK bank, like B, and then the AK bank script should show up. So you want to click on this and add this to the Wwise Global object, and then you'll see that we have no sound bank selected. So what we want to do is you want to click on that. We'll go into our Wwise project, and then wait, hold on. This is not happening today. Refresh. not. Hello, May. We do this again, just to make sure. What are you doing? Interesting. So why? Okay, what if I hit the button here and generate here? It's just not showing up. Okay. What if I create like an empty game object and try throwing it on that? I doubt that's gonna solve my problem, but nope. Okay. Is anyone else having this issue, or is it just me? I just want to see. Oh. Shoot. Because it is existing in here, in the sound bank. Huh. Oh, there it is. What the heck? I guess I had to save the Wwise project? Possibly? Click on you, there we go. So we hit the OK button. And now we have our sound bank called main. Are we good so far? Is everyone else there? Or, okay. Cool. So now we have our sound bank. So where'd the cursor go? Oh my goodness. I'm losing everything today. There we are. So I'm just gonna make a cube, because I can. Just throw a cube in here. It doesn't have to be a cube, but I'm gonna put it in there. Usually when I test for, just to make sure if I can actually hear a sound when it's implemented, I usually just attach the AK ambient script to this. I choose the event that has play for my test sound, and then I just hit the play button, and hopefully it plays a noise. It's kind of quiet, but it did play the noise. Cool. There's a sine wave. And then generally after I do that, I push that, and I yell at my teammates, and I say, hey, if you can't hear that sound, there's something wrong. You need to tell me about it. So that's generally how I like testing Wwise stuff there. So now that we've learned how to, make a sound play when we hit the play button, why don't we make the sound play instead when we, have key input or something. So I'm just gonna casually do that. So theoretically, this is gonna be super basic. I'm not gonna go into Unity? Unity. Hello. Okay. I'm gonna open this here. We're gonna talk a little bit about calling functions in Wwise. Is that light mode? Ah, disgusting. Yeah. So we're just gonna do a super quick an update. We're just gonna say if input dot shoot. I can spell. I can't actually spell. Oh my god, that was like a horrible typo. Oh my god, wait, is it dot? And then wait, am I doing this right?
Parentheses and then the
Parentheses key code? Wait, no. Wait.
yeah, parentheses.
Sorry. Wait, what? Wait.
The string of the D.
Wait. So like just that?
He looked at
Hold on. I'm not a programming officer for a reason.
What do you need?
I just want to hit D.
You wanna
Oh,
hit
okay,
D?
okay, wait, no.
It's key code D, yeah.
Is it dot D?
Single,
Oh my
single
god.
D, yeah.
Oh my god. Shit. Okay. Oh my god, where'd the E come from? Okay. Sudden E. Okay. We're just gonna do AK sound engine dot post event, and then you're going to put the name of our event. We're gonna input the name of our event as a string. So the name of our event that plays our test sound is play test. Wait, no. Stop. Comma, and then this game object, which is our cube. So if we hit D, we should hear a sine wave. Where is the thing? Oh my god, cursor. Cursor. Cursor! Holy crap.
Master Chief is trying his best.
I actually cannot see the cursor, do you?
Wait, where did it go? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Just use the keyboard. Just use the keyboard.
How do we change windows?
Alt tab.
Oh, thank you. Jeez.
Oh, there's the cursor.
It's frozen. Yikes, wait. Is it dead? It might be dead. Mouse is done. Wait, what?
There's a mouse over here.
Oh,
I don't know whose mouse it is.
we can just use the mouse that's not, yeah. Technical difficulties. Where was this thing plugged in? Oh. Please? It shouldn't be that hard. What am I doing? There we go. Yep. Alright. Alright, Cube, what do you have for us? There's our sine wave. Plays whenever we hit D.
Cursing.
It just comes out, you know? Alright. Are we all good there? We're good. Cool. Now we are going to go back to our Wwise project. And you know this... Oh god. I do not mean to fiddle with these windows. Oh no. Anyway. So you know how I made this event on accident, right? Well, we're just gonna double click it and change what it does. So this is the event editor. Here is our target audio clip. If you want to, oh, I don't not mean to do that. If you double click it, it goes to the properties of the actual audio clip. But if you right click this, you can set target and you can set this event to operate on any other sound you might have. So we see that the type of event we have here is a play event. You also have stop events, so we can stop this clip or stop everything, or you know, pause. I'm not exactly sure what break does or seek, I'll be honest. But what we want to focus on right now is stopping the event. So now we have an event to play our sound and one to stop our sound. I'm gonna rename this actually. so it's not as confusing. Just rename. Stop test. Okay, so now we can stop our thing. However, you have to remember to put it in the sound bank, because if you don't remember to update your sound banks, then none of your changes will happen and you'll just suffer. So we take our stop test event, we throw it in our sound bank, then we have to remember to generate them again. I said generate. What are you doing? Generate. There we go. If you throw a sound in the sound bank and do not generate it, then you won't hear anything different than before you generated it. So remember to do that. If you're not hearing things, make sure you generated your sound bank. That's like the #1 thing. So now that we've done that, you're going to go back to our Unity project. Did I spell stop test right? Holy crap, I can't actually read. I did. Okay, dead pixels, thank you. So we're gonna go back into here and just be like, alright. No. I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna, thank you. I'm just gonna do this. Say if we hit A, why not? Same function. So okay, sound engine dot post event stop test, and then game object. Cool. All right. I can't spell. Excuse me. All right. Okay, everything's good. So now, if we, why are you still playing? Alright. So now if we go back here, we press play. So if you press play, Unity. Master Chief, are you okay? Should I do it now? Okay. If we hit D, wait. Oh no. What have I done? Shoot. Not like this. Not like this. Yes. Monka S. Hold on. Hey, thing. You wanna initialize successfully, and then you wanna do the thing? Why is this not? What? That shouldn't do anything, right? That shouldn't matter. It shouldn't do right. This is why you should not trust me with things like these. I believe in you, Cube. This is very strange. I actually don't know. I don't know what I did.
I am going to class.
Ideally, it's supposed to like play on B, and then I can like stop it in the middle by pressing A. I don't know. Strange. But one thing I do want to really quick say, instead, this is supposed to work, but pretend it did. Instead of making individual events for every action you want to do on a sound, so you have a play event and then a stop event and then whatever other events you want. Instead of having individual ones, you could actually go to an event and then you have this add button here where you can add like different types of like behaviors into one event. However, I can't really utilize this if I'm using post event. Well, what I'd have to do is use a different function and then actually input all of these parameters here through code. Well, not probability, but like fade in and then curve. And then like the type of event it is. So that's another way to do sounds. But yeah, that's about it. Any questions? That's it? Okay. Cool. Well, thank you for coming. Also, Johan, do you have any idea what I did wrong here? It should be else if I guess, but like.
I mean.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, no.
No.
It's not playing when you hit play.
No. So like I saved this, right? So like, oh my god, thing. Alright. Yeah. So go here. I generated the sound banks, it should work.
It's just not playing.
It's not, unless it's just super quiet. Oh no, it should be playing and it's just not. I don't know.
It should be triggering. Something might be wrong with the post event. Can you go to Visual Studio Code and just see if I'm pretty sure this is getting triggered. It's entering this if. I highly doubt it. I mean, that looks right. If anything, it'd be an issue there.
We're trying to stop it. Interesting.
Oh wait,
Semicolon
yeah.
after your if statement.
Semicolon?
Yeah, it's a semicolon after your if statement. I can barely see that.
Wait, what? Oh my god, wait, what the fuck?
I thought those were dead pixels.
I thought those were dead pixels too. Hey. Oh my god, okay.
That might work now.
If it does, then
There was a
Sorry.
semicolon in Kristen's if, like before the statement even started.
I thought they were dead pixels.
I thought they were dead pixels until Oscar pointed it out. And I was like, oh yeah, those are dead pixels.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Yay!
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 And then I can stop it in the middle if I press A2.
Is that Morse code?
Exactly. Okay, that's supposed to be the end of the workshop.
Who would win?
I got it to work. Alright, thanks for coming.
Or one squiggy boy.